Right. So just like those days when everything was budding and forming, and you can't really explain why you're doing it, like it's the same reason why you can't explain why you can't stop doing it, or what's
Right.
like what is your motivation to create? It's like, I don't know. It's like to exist,
Can't help
therefore I
yourself.
am. Yeah, like
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
so
So you can remember as far back as 9 or 10 writing some goofy lyrics.
I can remember. See, I can't say if it was like 8, 9, 10, like what it went in. It was in elementary school,
Right.
and I can remember the first thing that I wrote that wasn't beyond scribbles of pieces of things. And the first thing that I wrote that was something that I could go through as a rap was a parody,
Right.
like like
Yeah,
almost
I
like a
can relate.
Weird Al, almost like
Yeah.
a Weird Al of the song of Warren G and Nate Dogg's "Regulate."
Okay.
And,
Okay.
and it was about some, I can't even remember who it was. It was about some like some fat chick in our class, like making fun of her in a really 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 fucking just, you know what I mean, like immature kind of little kid manner.
Right.
And I can't,
And you
and
loved
I
that
just
song at the time. Well, maybe that's a reference that when that song came out. That's how old you were. It's
I think it was
94.
slightly. Yeah, there was like, no, that song came out in like 92. So, but hey, I was born
Oh
in
yeah, you're right.
84. So if I was
Huh.
born in 84, and it could have been a year after the song came out. So I could have been 9. Yeah, right.
Right.
But I
Maybe you
just
didn't
remember,
really get into it.
I just remember some small lines, like, it's something, it's stupid lyrics, stupid, like
Yeah.
something at hooking a left at 2-1 or Ronald, something that she's seen at McDonald's, like so,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. I get
if
said.
you think of the way the song goes, and then there's something, the next stop is the East Side Taco Bell, like
That's awesome. That's stuff you can
so,
relate to. You're young, and everyone knows
and
the
then
Weird Al.
yeah, and then like, yeah, so
That was the
I
beginning.
don't, I can't tell you when, like, just writing and like emulating what other people were doing, but like injecting humor into it to like not have to worry about the personality that I output as an artist. Like, when did the artistry really come out of it? Because there's the craft,
Right. Right.
and then there's your
You
personal
become.
artistry.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, sometimes you don't even know what that is until after you're doing
Yeah,
it
you
for a
don't
minute.
even know. I don't even think like I knew what that was until we were all fucking around in high school. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly. So did you
I
kind of just you do the same thing, just kind of write parody stuff off and on, or
You mean like back in the day? Yeah, it
until
was. There
until
was.
high school, and maybe like you get like the singles with the instrumentals, you kind of like rap over it or something.
I I just basically like, well, like I started writing like poetry and crap too, like
Mm,
things that I don't remember, and things that no one's ever gonna see, that
right.
probably sucked ass, that were literally like poetry, but probably me trying to be like this attempt as like a little shitty little kid trying to be like,
Hard.
philosophical and existential, and you know what I mean, like
Trying to be deep.
yeah, trying to be deep, just ended up like,
Something that you can't be yet. You're too young or what have
yeah.
you.
So I but I started freestyling when I was like 13, I think, 12, 13, and like I did it to myself. Like, I had like a couple people around me that would like hear this from time to time, and that's it. it's like if we go back in the day of like the people who were around, if you remember, like
Right.
You know, rest his soul, Jerry would hear me do it from time to time because like he'd walk in on me in my room coming over to my crib, you know,
right.
or like us, like Souser sometimes when we'd be like little kids when we were shitty at his house where, you know, we're already drinking at 13, fucking staying over at his house, trying to, you know, like,
yeah, for sure.
So, and those are the only people that like it would like grace the ears of, and it was more like I don't know. It's like I wasn't embarrassed by doing it, but like what I thought was that like it wasn't pieced together well enough.
Still self-conscious about it, or
yeah. So there was a time that I guess that going through the motions of like me learning to freestyle and keep something going was the thing that was holding me back from like taking the written lyrics and then bringing them out steadily and like forming some sort of like cadence that is something that would be typical of what I want to do. But
so because you couldn't go long enough, because you would like stop or couldn't keep the flow going.
Well, I couldn't kind of
discourage you.
I couldn't think of the way that it's supposed to flow out because, like,
to continue and
something that's very, very typical of me is like is a craft worker, not as like as in the content I put in, is like it's how do you even say it like that? The way the syllabification works and the way the rhyme scheme goes together. And I'm not like a slop person. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just like we want these bigger words strung together to make it sound long, and we don't care where we're ending the phrase in the sequence.
Right, you know what I mean? Right. You want to be structured or... Well,
and I think,
if you don't, especially if you don't have a beat, it's hard to like try to be melodic in any sense or have like a cadence.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're talking
just
about
like the air,
yeah, but I mean, there was music going on to be, you know, inspiration, but the music in itself didn't really like stand as the emotional or inspiration or anything like for sure, but. Hey, there were instrumentals and stuff that you could. This was back in the day when, like, there were those old. What's that? Kazaa.
Oh yeah. First was Napster, then LimeWire.
Napster, like there were
Morpheus.
There were ways to snatch little instrumentals sometimes, you know. Mm-hmm. And I think just. It was just a process of me being as picky as I always have been about it. And I think that's probably why that took so long to develop, because like, that's why I think that the freestyling like is something that I thought I need to develop more because of that, is that like, I guess that had to build up a point in me of like just pure fuck itness to say like, I'm not so like caught in my head about what I'm doing. It's just coming out. So just stop getting so caught in your head about the way you want to piece these things together instead of saying, no, wait. That's not the way that's supposed to go. And
just let it come out sort of thing.
And just like slide it out. So that's probably, like I said, like 13, 14 when that started to materialize. And that, and from that era, from like I said, like young teen to 16, 17, like near the end of high school times, like I don't remember shit of anything I ever put together. It's kind of weird because like I can remember that Regulate parody was like the first thing that I was like, okay, but like that era of crafting rhymes and all that kind of crap, like it just doesn't translate to memory that I can really put down. And as far as
crazy
like,
times in high school too.
Well, I know we were fucked up a lot. Like,
yeah, exactly. Our little crew definitely.
Like, remember, like, my dad's garage attic? Like,
Oh yeah, no, that was I think I was a junior, so that was like the end of getting towards the end of high school,
I guess I was a
and it
senior,
was
but
just like a party. It just you never know who
every,
would be
every
there, but you always knew somebody would be there.
I like I was just an example of a place. Like, remember how scummy that place was? Like, how is
Oh
one
yeah,
supposed to even like recall in your memory like what you're doing when that's the way you're living? Like,
yeah,
I try
exactly.
I try to tell people this all the time because they'd be like, even like when I was like, you know, when we were like college age, and they're like, "Oh my God, this is the craziest like I've ever lived," and I was like, "You should have grew up with us in high school," you
Yeah,
know?
no shit.
And they're like, "Oh my God, you're drinking a lot." Like, well, I was drinking a lot there in Osaka there for quite a while. Like, you know, I quit drinking, by the way, just a random thing.
Oh, right on.
I don't drink or smoke. I well,
It's not a good night.
I'll blow some green. That's fine. But like,
Right.
I quit smoking squillies and I quit drinking. I
Nice.
had a period. Trust me, like, you know what I
Right on.
mean. Open canister,
Right. Right.
available every day, dude. I was super fat, blown up, like, and I was unhealthy. Like, the doctor said, like, you're gonna have like a heart attack in 10 years, basically, type shit.
Oh
And
damn.
so, but I didn't listen to the fucking doctor. That's not the reason why. I just eventually got up one day and was like, this sucks. I'm sick of, like, you know. But
Yeah,
anyways,
totally.
so back
Okay,
to like
so when did you actually yeah, make like your first beat? That was like,
17, I guess.
and
I
that was
don't know if I
around
was
that same time, but then it was like cuz I remember
16 or 17. I had that little Boss DR. I don't know how I got that. I don't know if I pooled money that I had together and ordered it, or like, I think it was like some surprise like gift from my dad, and I was like, and maybe Wade told
but he didn't,
my dad
it's a
something
surprise,
that,
so you don't know.
yeah, like, because I don't think I pooled like, I know I was trying to pool my money together for something, but like, I think that's what I did. I think I had this like little money pool together, and I think I said that there was this thing I wanted, and I think I told like Wade or someone was talking about it, and then I think it ended up like on a birthday or something. Like, you know,
You're
there's
like, "Oh
that
shit."
little Boss DR5, you know,
Oh,
drum
right on.
machine, and then I was just like, from that point on, I just, you know, like, it's addicting to play with that sort of stuff to me, you know.
Oh yeah.
um I love drum pads and I love synth pads, and just and then that finally gave me like the chance to express like what I've been doing as a kid, because like before I started writing, I was always singing. Like, I've
Okay.
been doing that forever. My
Right.
mom's been singing around me since forever. Like, she used to sing like amateur when she was like in college days and crap, like opera type shit. But you know what I mean?
Oh,
Like, she's like a good classically trained singer, and you know,
right on.
like, yeah, and I grew up singing shit with her all the time, and I always used to think that shit, that, hey, that shit's gay, I ain't gonna sing no shit, you know. Like, there's the stigma that came behind it, but I think once I finally got access to something which created melodies beyond, like, because I can't play a piano at the same time that I can spit or sing. It's just I'm not
Right.
that coordinated. When I
But
finally
then
got access to something that's creating melodies, then I'm thinking
yeah.
about, like, my head started singing out the chords. Well, I can't sing in a chord, but you know what I mean, singing out the pieces of the
Yeah,
arpeggi,
the
and
melody, or yeah, the notes that you're searching for.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's how you
the
kind of
key.
like self-taught yourself because you didn't play any instruments. It was aside from
No,
like voice as an instrument in a sense, but that
well,
wasn't
I
even
mean,
necessarily trained. You were just kind of
well, at the dismay of my father, yes. I mean, because he tried to have me, obviously, you know, old Mad Max with his fucking harpsichord and his organ, you know, classical music symphonies and shit.
oh
He really wanted me to play piano back in the day, but I just like, I was taking lessons with his best friend Ian and fucking around for 2 years, like when I was a little kid, and they both like were sick of me, you know, like they're just like, he doesn't want to do anything that anyone is trying to tell him how to do it. Like, That's how I always was.
And when you're young, it's not like appealing, or you see no point in it. Like I tell people that
Uh,
shit all the time. Like I did fucking violin, but I fucking couldn't stand it half the time.
yeah,
You know
that's
what I'm
right. I
saying?
think there
And I
was
was
a
like, if someone
violin
would
in the
have taught
house.
me like Coolio Gangsta's Paradise or fucking like It's Woo Motherfucker on the violin, I probably would have loved it. But because I didn't like learning from like sheet music. I didn't have appreciation for classical music at the time.
Yeah,
So it's like you're not turned down by it. So you're kind of like it's not appealing to you. And then you come back to it
yeah.
later and you're like, well, actually, I can make my own shit out of a
I
keyboard, my own melodies, songs,
I think like I always had this.
originality.
I
Sorry.
had an appreciation for this classical music shit going on around me because I could never avoid it in the household. Like it'd been blaring in my ear since day one. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
my parents probably like weren't, the school of people that are like, raise your child to Mozart, it makes them smarter. Well,
Right.
my parents were probably on their snooty ass bullshit that it was like, no, but Mozart is so blah blah blah, it needs to be
Bach.
Stravinsky.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, or something particular. Or they would be like, don't be so cliche and just go with one thing. Give a full playlist rotation of you know what I
Right.
mean?
Wait.
Like,
So your dad's a professor of what?
my dad is a professor. Well, he's retired. I mean, old Max is old as fuck. He's like 82 now.
Well,
But
yeah,
like,
yeah, he was.
but my dad is let's call him a scholar now because he's no longer an active professor of music theory, but
Mm,
his specialization is Baroque period, and his he's a virtuoso artist that deals with the harpsichord mostly and the Baroque period organ. So
interesting.
he writes symphonies that are basically Baroque music, but he's a modern Baroque artist now. And you probably don't even go like, what the fuck does that mean? It means
Well,
like
I can
the
kind of
music
if it's
has
a harpsichord, you get a sense, but
well,
maybe
basically
not.
it is Baroque in style, the music he makes, okay, but it's note progression and the jumps and the chords and stuff like
Mm.
that are like modern music, meaning modern classical music, meaning the dissonance and shit.
I
Like,
see what you're saying. Yeah, between the
so to me, the music that he writes sounds fucking goofy, like
I'd have to hear some of this
because
shit.
it's out there, it's mad out there, like if you just want to, like, because of the way,
Where
like
could you find
like
it somewhere?
I could I think I could look it up somewhere and send you something, because surely the things that he's written, like someone, I like when he does them at concert, someone's got the recording somewhere, because I know he'll have someone like do the live recording and have
Yeah,
something on wax.
that's cool though. He's doing original stuff, especially like classical style. You know
I
what I mean?
think that's all.
It's kind of
I think
rare.
that's always been his thing that he wanted. Like, he grew, like he went to college, like grad school. I don't know if he transferred and then went to Juilliard too, fancy ass Juilliard, but he was at like Eastman, which is like, it's a little north of that, New York somewhere, which is like, I think the people would have considered that like the #2 classical music school upstate in New York. But then he moved down in Manhattan, and this is like the late 50s, or you gotta remember, my dad old. This is like the early 60s. And
Shit.
he was like around New York when all those avant-garde modern classical composers were all living there on Broadway, and he lived with them. Like his some of his friends were like John Cage and fucking Charles Mingus. Like,
Shit.
he was with the in crowd of that avant-garde
in Manhattan.
Manhattan musician shit in the early '60s, and
Damn.
then he landed like a position to be an associate professor at Beloit College, a random place, which used to be an illustrious reputation for classical like
It's
the
still one of the
department.
best colleges in the state or something. Yeah. Like
Yeah,
always
for
has been.
music and for like, well, I anthro, which I
Right.
graduated with an anthro degree, mostly because like I just did something like
Right. Just to
something which
get a
was
degree.
interesting. Yeah. But anyways,
Okay, so you come from a
so
musical background.
yeah, so that's
You
what I
inherited
was.
some shit.
Yeah, that's what was always going on in the house. So I grew up with that, and I didn't really think like I didn't really judge what I was hearing ever. Like,
Mm.
I didn't really like think of anything that I listened to as being like too out of genre or not my style to get into the music or the song. I don't give a fuck what it is. Like I
Yeah.
I didn't give a fuck if I was listening to Tuvin fucking throat singing, or if I was listening to fucking some honky tonk shit, or if I was listening to some gutter rap shit, or if I was listening to whatever. But just like what I vibed with the most is in particular, I guess, three kinds of music that I was growing up with. Well, one, kind of hip hop, because I like the cadence and I
Mm-hmm.
like the way that its story tells through the use of more words.
Mm-hmm.
Um, to almost like top 40ish, but like funk and soul, kind of R&B top 40, but also like funky pop music with great synthesis, like 80s music,
Oh, I know what you're
like,
saying. Yeah, yeah. Like some Talking
yeah,
Heads or some
yeah, some Talking Heads to Michael Jackson to the Cars
Blondie
to
or yeah.
even though the Cars is kind of rock, and then rock, like my mom's old the '70s,
That
rock
classic
shit that I grew
rock.
up on. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Kansas, and there's another example of a band with a good violinist,
Oh
electric
yeah.
violinist.
Yeah. That's it.
Um, but so, and then when looking at those and the way like they translated into what I wanted to do, like I didn't have a full band, and like I didn't have the full confidence in any of my singing abilities, and the easiest thing to just pick up and do and talk about, once I started to develop like what I want to talk about in the song or what I want to do, the easiest thing to just run with was the lyricism. Lyricism. I hate the word now. Like of rap,
Right.
And then eventually the singing thing came back. Like, oh, yeah, I can do this. I can sing a little ditty.
Right,
Like,
right.
I'm sure you
Yeah.
had the same thing. You had the same like kind of thing too, right? Because like you were trying to like kind of rap back in the day. You probably thought like, oh man, I can't just like sing the song like this,
Well, I
like
had a weird thing. It was like when I finally started singing again, like I had this crazy epiphany. I was like, man, I thought the whole time I was rapping, like melody didn't matter. And it was like I realized how it mattered so much, like rapping in tune or rapping like with the instruments of the beat, just like,
mm-hmm.
and that was like a huge thing, because I guess a lot of that, yeah, just like writing a lot because you write so much when you rap, that just like got me writing so much, it almost made like singing easier because you can stretch everything out or like
Yeah.
emphasize stuff with just like one word or one fucking syllable or something, but
Yeah.
I guess
Doesn't
I'm
it
still
though?
searching for a voice, but yeah, it was. I think when I first started singing, it almost like it sounded like rapping in a way, or more. I was like getting out of that and like going into this, and there's like weird crossover, what have you.
I
But
I I I have still have some of those same issues to this day because of the way instrumentals or something they're put together as sounding, that it just comes out as kind of like almost
well,
like
what?
reggae-ish.
And you can almost like you can hear that on a beat, like when you hear the original beat and it's a great song, and then like the remix is just the same. They just took the acapella and did a different beat, but it like doesn't mash as well. You know, like sometimes they even change the key, and it's like that's not really like syncing up. I mean, hip hop is one of those things where you can actually have out of key elements and it can still work, but you know what I mean. Like it sounds best when it's all musically correct. I don't know.
I totally agree because I think like some of the best songs have some nice beautiful melody that's going along with whatever it is. So you know, I'm a like I said, like something that I might go into is that like I think in this day and age of hip hop or rap or whatever it is with the popular music, a lot of people complain and blah blah blah, but it's like I think a lot of it sounds more pleasing to my ear, you know, like people like, oh my God, their lyrics and what they're talking about. Like, motherfucker, don't front. There was plenty of bullshit ass shit back in the golden era, the silver era, not the golden because back in the silver era, the 90s of rap, man, there was plenty of fucking bullshit.
You gotta sift through what you want to find, you know. I mean,
people just remember the classics, but people are gonna remember the classics of any era. So if you're just gonna go complain to me about people are sing rapping, like, you know what I mean? Like it's actually more.
Yeah.
People have been sing rapping reggae shit, you know, like and then what turned into reggaeton after, and now the kind of like the soca Caribbean movement, and that fucking music is dope. You know what I mean? That music is very soulful and very, you know what I mean? Like it beats out the American popular music sometimes as far as like danceability and
the rhythm or some dance hall stuff and
dance hall.
I love all that shit, man.
Dance hall, Afrobeat, soca. Like one of my main DJs that I've fucked with for the longest time in Osaka. His name's Jay Lamore. He's a real cool dude from Vancouver, and but he's a really good DJ. And like that is his bread and butter, right? Like that Afro vibe. You know, Caribbean vibe stuff. Like he pulls fucking gems out the bin, you know what I mean? But that's a DJ's job, is to
it's endless, man, once you get into that niche.
He's just pulling stuff out, and I'm like, who is this? What is this? And he's just like, oh man, this is the new this is the, you know, he doesn't even need to explain it usually, because literally if someone's in a DJ set, like, you can't talk to him anyways. You're not even next to him. You just talk to him about it afterwards, and you're like, I like the thing that was there in that thing, and then they just go like, yeah, you know.
Like, right, yeah, I get what you're saying. No.
You don't get into a deep conversation about it at all.
No, I wouldn't. That'd be not the time or place. But no, I mean, I definitely appreciate stuff that kind of has more singing elements, but it doesn't necessarily have to, you know. But I guess it's all like when you're a writer and a rapper yourself, you have like a whole nother, form of taste. I guess probably particular stuff you're into, but like you said, you're influenced by a little bit of everything, so you gotta also stay you gotta stay open to like being influenced, I guess, in a sense. But I'm super particular with new hip-hop myself, but I always make an effort to try to listen to something new, like I always do, you know what I mean? That's any genre. But
let me describe like, maybe I wouldn't call it an epiphany, but a change in me that I felt, and that I really analyzed within myself, and actually just as far as like the actual meaning of something, what lyricism means. Okay.
All right.
What does lyricism mean? What does it mean?
The ability to use many complex lyrics in
not at all. Think about
rhyme scheme, sort of. I don't know, poetry.
Okay, so that would be your contemporary kind of hip hop. But really, think about it. Lyricism is just the ability to convey emotion and to bring out emotion through the words you use in a song, right?
Right.
That's
Right.
it. To create vivid imagery through you know
Words.
the words you use to
Yeah.
convey emotion, right?
And
That
how you project them or how you emphasize them.
exactly. So and over years of going through so many different words and words and words and words and words. And like, to me, there got to a point where like, yeah, I grew up in the kind of era where this is the way things are, but like,
Mm.
eventually, man, I can't, like, when I can't have it when people are doing too much.
Right. Right.
Let me explain what I mean.
I
Like,
think. All right. I think
like
I
the
know you're
way
getting
we
at.
it's like the way we used to be when everything is symmetries of soliloquies and fucking
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Well, I always
I
call it like a syllable rapping. Like you're trying to rhyme as many syllables, and that makes you a better complex lyricist. Or like, but if it doesn't have emotion, if you can't express something the same way, it almost
yeah,
falls short. I remember that's what
yeah,
like Eminem used to be so good at that, but he'd have like a lot of meaningless songs when he first came out. It'd be like all these
yeah,
syllables, fucking 10 syllables of fucking sentences. Every sentence, like each syllable rhymes the next sentence, and you're like, well, that's impressive, but what the fuck are you saying?
yeah, that's the point. Like, and eventually, as far as like syllabification, I became much more in depth to the whole bar being syllables that I'm going through the whole way, and I don't got to worry about the rhyme scheme technically, because I might actually have a more complex rhyme scheme. But like, so if it's like okay, so I'm gonna say some nonsense. If I say like nana nana A, nana B, nana C, nana 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 A, nana D, nana E. All right, so whatever. Like at that point, all the nana nanas are actually rhyming and having the same syllable structure. And then all those rhyming points, which is actually 3 particular rhyming points within the thing, all have their own punch point. First of all, they're all plosives on purpose, like I'm doing my P's right now. And then they all have their own particular rhyme set. So there's no particular one rhyme thing that I just want to make a multi-syllable anything.
Yeah,
I feel
right.
I feel like that's my style now. And like it always has been for the past, I don't know, 20 years almost. I don't know how long, but like that's what but before it used to be more of that lyrical miracle shit, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
That
yeah,
like I
yeah.
was filling it with. And now in these days, I can't take it when people are doing too much. And I'm sorry, but like the whole and taking that and then being like, I want to give you this knowledge all the time, like the
Right.
knowledge,
Yeah.
the knowledge,
Right.
the knowledge.
It's like, how much
Like
knowledge you
no,
got, man? Aren't you ever
no,
normal?
no, you want to sell me on the way you think of the world. It doesn't mean it's the truth and the knowledge of the world. That's the way you think about it. And you're not expressing it as the way that you think and saying, this is the way I feel about things. You're saying the Illuminati's trying to get us. No, okay, if that's what you think, more power to you, bud. But like, I ain't listening to your music if that's the message it's got, because like, I don't believe in that. So, and that's not knowledge to me,
I see what you're
so
saying.
so I started to, like, as I said, I started to incorporate more singing and things. I started to sing more love songs and things, because that's an emotion we all feel.
Right.
Or sing more about the actual depths of my character, how I'm always like manic and depressive and up and down and here and there, or sing about things that are true. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
when
Being honest with
when I
yourself and with your
yeah,
music.
yeah. I mean, when I was still drinking all the time and so fucked up in the areas, like in Japan, like a lot of my songs had to do with being out and being drunk. A lot of my songs had to do with me being fucking, like having problems with being kind of like, adulterous. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like
right.
they're very honest about my behavior. And when people are like, this doesn't sound like you, I'm like, well, you're hanging out around me.
Right,
You'd
right.
understand I'm being a little bit too honest at times. And like that's what it has to be for me now. I can put myself out of I can bring myself out of myself talking about like conditions for like uh, imagining in third person,
Right,
or
right,
character crafting songs. You know what I mean?
right.
You can't.
Well, do you ever do that with like real life stories and kind of like
You mean like craft characters for real life stories?
like they're inspired by real people? You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
tell someone
yeah.
else's story in disguise, in a sense.
I think I'm usually telling my own story in disguise of another person, but then
Yeah,
some.
I do the same thing. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
But sometimes when I'm trying to do that, then the inspiration comes up and a character's too far fetched from who I really am, and then I'm just character crafting, and I'm dealing on the human condition. You know what I mean? It's the empathetic condition that I'm building off of. It's like, I'll do some. Was that in like one? When was that? There's a million cases, but like here's an example, and like a right back on up. It's like a song from, I don't know, 2016 maybe. Like I don't know why I decided, but there's like the three characters that, like, one is someone that I really like. It's like one is a young kid who's puppy love. Sprung on the first chick that he had sex with, and she turned out to be, like already, skeezing around, and it kind of broke his heart on it. So it's an easy one to just go with, because we've all been in that kind of case,
Right.
yeah. But like the first verse is like a single mother who's looked down upon, because they see her as white trash when she's struggling to take care of a baby, and working dead end jobs and shit like that ain't me. Like, it's
Right,
not at
right,
all.
right.
But I can empathize with the human condition of like having to like get,
Well,
like
and you've
work
probably
through.
known enough people like that, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
mean. Like, so
Right.
I wouldn't say any one particular person inspires it, but there's other shit. Like I
Can
got
kind
a
of
beat one.
sum up multiple people in a sense.
Yeah, but like there's other shit, like back when SoundCloud was like really popping off, like, and it was getting the organic feed. This is like 12 years ago, maybe like 2008, 2009, but I was still in Beloit. I got some beat from some dude that was like a 6-minute beat, and it had a bunch of violin, like a violin sample. I don't know if it's still on there, but I wrote just something based on the violin. But what I wrote is like a story about a little fucking pauper kid who plays the violin in back alleys in like 1880. That had nothing to do with me. Like, I ain't that
Right.
kid, but it's a good story, and it like speaks to the human condition. And by the way, I'm writing an actual short story based on that. And
Oh, no
the
shit.
story's really dope, and I want it published. And I've been writing this story for about like 8 years.
What's the song called?
The song's called, I think, The Violinist, but the short story, which is the really good version of the story, which I've been re-editing for years, is called The Lucky Violin. And I can't divulge all the details of it, but it's a story about a kid whose parents are like gone, and he picks pockets outside of an opera house, because that's where the big pickings are, the upper crust of society. And he likes to creep into the windows and the scaffolding into the opera house and everything after he makes his pickings, and listen to whatever it is. And he likes the violin best. The most famous violinist in the earth comes on the earth, whatever, comes to town. He has no name, still the violinist. He sees him in the spotlight. He has this violin that looks like it costs $1 million. He divulges a scheme that he wants to steal that violin. He listens to the solo of the guy. It sounds like fucking God, pissing on his face. He loves it. Then he goes and tries to steal the violin. He gets caught by the violinist. And he says, "Look, kid, I understand the way you're struggling, the way things are, and I won't, call the police who hang you and shit back then." I don't know. There's always details of the story. He said, I'll give you my most prized possession if you go and promise to practice every day on it. and then I will let you go scot-free. But then he pulls a 180 on him, and he pulls out some old ratty ass violin and says, "This is my lucky violin. This is what I grew up and learned on," and gives that to him instead of the expensive one. At the end of the story, basically, the old violin, the famous violinist on that very same night gets shot, mugged, and killed for that same violin that cost like $1 million back then.
Oh shit.
The kid never knows it. Kid stays good on his promise and takes that old ratty ass violin into the alley and plays it for like fucking years and years and years and years. And he's a stinky ass bum who plays violin in the alley, and no one ever fucking even flips him money or fucks with him because he's so goddamn stinky. He stopped stealing from people, so he doesn't have the money to afford that kind of shit. And he's dying, and he's old, and then he leaves town, and he's on the search for the guy who fucking fucked him over, sent him on this quest to start playing this goddamn cursed violin forever. And then he like curls up in an alley, not like a cemetery, sometime when he's fucking dying basically, and he sees like during the middle of some rainstorm that some gravestone that says the name of the famous violinist, and fucking he notices that the date or the year was the same year that it comes from. And then he realizes some flashback of the events of things that happened that night, and he realizes that he must have died that night for the whole thing. The whole epiphany comes when he's old and dying in the cemetery, and he's never had that standing ovation his whole life. He stands up and does like a fucking soliloquy of the violin and the rainstorm as he's fucking like literally dying from tuberculosis, or I don't know the fucking details of these things. He finishes on the last stroke, then he falls on the gravestone of the famous violinist, cracks his head open, and dies on the fucking gravestone with his brain splashed out. And all the bums creep out of the woodworks who've been resting in the cemetery trying to get away from the storm and give him the only standing ovation of his life.
That's awesome. That's a trip, man. Wow.
That's okay. So anyways, so back to beyond that long ass tangent. Like, this is a rap song that I put together, and like, what the fuck does it have anything to do with me? I don't know. It's like, it's
just a good story.
It's just the human condition in the story. You know what I mean? Like, you can relate to like struggling through things, or you can relate to practicing a medium. You know what I mean?
Right.
An art. You can relate to looking up to someone.
Right. Yeah.
And like, there's
finding out about something you didn't know happened. You find out about it later. That's something most people can relate to.
So
like some tragic shit happens, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah. When I write stories too, they tend to be tragedies too. Like I just in itself, like when I'm making songs, especially like when I kind of like these love songs and stuff a lot, I think the bittersweet is often more powerful than the cheesy and happy. It needs to be definitely. You can have some really sunshiny, feel good things that are awesome, that are
right.
But like the whole vibe of it has to be just right. You know what I mean? For that,
it has to be authentic, man. It has to be real. It has to come from a real place.
So to push out the happy feels from a place where it's like more of we're talking about a real set of emotions here. That's why you're gonna get that the kind of love-hate tendency out of like someone who's like a emo songwriter like me, because like
emo rapper, what?
Well, it not in the sense of like, well, yeah, I mean, but it's not like this is
not the style, but I get what you're saying.
It means like that, like I don't hide from like, my like the emotional vulnerability. I'm not singing songs like I lost my keys, and whining about shit. That
was a great example.
Like, but it's the kind of conditions where like people would be breaking down, because when you're dealing with heartache and heartbreak and serious disappointment, or actual depression about things, or rage or lust or whatever, people do break down. You can't be such a rock when you're dealing with real emotions, you know what I mean? If you
Yeah.
do, then you're robotic, and that's not
Well,
human.
and I think it depends on the person, but I think you can hear the difference in that in a song. When it comes from a real place, or if it's kind of just like made for the masses or made for pop appeal or what have you. It just doesn't have any backbone behind it. It doesn't have any feeling, which, real shit can always kind of like push through, but it's I don't know. I guess everyone can't hear it. And I guess everyone's not searching for that. Some people just want to hear music as strictly background or strictly something to dance to, and don't want to think about the lyrics and
Yeah,
hate stories. Some people watch movies
yeah,
and they hate stories. They want it to be simple, cheap laughs, whatever. But it's all depends. It's all relative to the person or the listener. But
yeah,
no, I appreciate
yeah.
that. But I mean, I like a good storyteller, especially in hip hop, and especially, I guess in a sense, there's a lot of popular hip hop that doesn't always, it's not always storytelling. A lot of it isn't. There's some
Yeah, but
great storytellers, but it all depends.
I think it just kind of like what you're getting fed in playlists and radio and stuff is like also, it has a lot to do with what people hear about, what an artist has to say, or you know what I mean? It's like we're not getting a deep enough glimpse into that artist or their catalog. So I tend not to be too judgy on like what I'm hearing, especially with that kind of stuff. And I think I
It's like
totally
only
agree.
sometimes stuff shines through, but yeah, it's like overall,
I
it's almost
totally
it's
agree.
almost supposed to give you the dumbed down version to intrigue you a little
Yeah,
simpler.
you can hear it in the lyrics to the songs. Like if you can just tell it's like an amalgamation of songwriters that
Yeah, exactly.
this artist is just singing. You know what I mean? It's like a Disney song. You know?
Yeah, exactly. It can be done by many people, and yeah, it is written by few people, and then they're like, yeah, it's like that with like a lot of pop music and
Yeah, and you
pop.
could
Oh,
you
is that
can
you say?
tell with some of those artists when they have more input into the style and the writing of the song. You could tell
Well, that's
that
what I'm saying. It's
there's.
sometimes artists break through with like they don't intentionally write a pop song. They just happen to have a song that
Hmm.
kind of has pop appeal. It wasn't their attention. You can like hear that because it's still like it comes from it's authentic. Just kind of. But
Like
I
I feel
guess
like I can
hip
tell.
hop goes back and forth like that. I feel like, or what? Not just hip hop. Everything does.
Yeah, everything does, and I feel
Everything
like
really
in
does. Almost every
and I
artist does.
and I feel like in hip hop there's this. Okay, so like yeah, there's straight up songwriting going on when, well, at a high level, at the like high level, as far as like the industry, large payout level, super major record label level. Yeah, people will there'll be multiple writers on songs and shit. It's like it's to me. We're from the era where like I don't, I'd be like, yeah, am I rapping? Well, then no one else is gonna write my fucking lyrics, you know.
Right. When
But
again, that comes down to like what you're trying to do with the song too. It's like
exactly, what's your goal? Is it to just have the masses, But
right.
like to me, there's like that integrity thing that if coming from the school of like, well, if you're spitting, you should be able to figure that out yourself, motherfucker. Like if you're singing the song and you can't figure out the note structure and the way you want the words to go to make it more catchy to the ear, maybe you get those extra songwriters if that's your goal.
Mm.
Um, but but then again, okay, so with rap, I think that a lot of people are following that same school. They'll be like, you gotta, you write your own shit, and this is the way it's done. But I think a lot of those same people aren't really thinking about how parody, like not a parody, but parity they are with
Mm.
the words that they're using and the phrasing that they're using, and that the way they're creating their rap to
Mm.
sound like some other people's shit. like,
Right,
and
right.
which basically in the end is like someone writing a song for you to sound like something in such a way,
Yeah.
but it's unbeknownst to them because they're not self-aware enough of that fact. You know
Because
what I mean?
they're so into what they're into, they're oblivious to it.
Well, that's
Kind of
what I
thing.
was talking about with like if you have your message being about some sort of the knowledge set or the whatever, like that's a pre-prescribed indoctrination of whatever the message is,
Right.
or the way you deliver it being in that syllable style that we were talking about, that is supposed to be like that's the style of the way you would rap to sound like you can rap,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know,
That shows you have it or whatever.
and that being the delivered desired message, you know, like whatever you say is like I'm not even listening to the rest of what you say at that point, because like I'm hearing the way you're delivering it and I'm being like, you know.
Mm.
So
Mm.
just
Interesting.
as much as I just as much as I used to be more critical of like pop, almost like top 40 music back in the day, like high school days,
Right.
I'm like that with rap now. Like
Mm.
it's flipped on me, and I although I don't want to listen to people who are like disconnected from the song, I want to hear the soul coming out, and if it is written by someone else, I want that better come out super soulful, and the way you present it, you know what I mean, you
Yeah.
better
Yeah.
ace the shit out of it.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
um a good friend of mine, Kevo is his rap name these days, but his old rap name is Shrimp, and he's actually one of the founding members of like some Canadian classic hip hop royalty group called Isosceles from Saskatchewan, who's they're super well known. Like he's selling his fucking albums on Discogs for like fucking $300 and shit, you know, and people are
Shit.
buying that shit
Damn.
because it's like it's classics, and he's been over in Japan. He was signed on Sony in like to the 1999, 2000. He's older than us by like 6, 7, 8 years. Anyways, one time, because he came to this realization too when we got together first, like maybe I don't know 3 years ago. It like didn't really click before, and we were just like we were talking, and he's older and I'm older than the generation where we're supposed to be like delving into these new kind of
Right.
different
Right.
styles of experimental anything because it's rap, right? And like we're like, nah, it's just music, and trying to convey, and that's what I was talking about with lyricism, like
Mm.
this, and what you were talking about with when you're rapping and there's all these words, and then you
Mm-hmm.
get to singing, and you're like singing, it almost makes it easier because then you realize that like the presence of that one word or line drawn out, you know, that
Or like
yeah.
eliminating, like instead of like focusing on the words you need in a sentence, eliminating the words you don't need. You know what I mean?
Exactly. But then comes the challenge of making sure that that has the punch and the emotion that you need right in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one day Kev was just like, I've been telling motherfuckers, simple ain't easy, you know.
Yeah.
And
No shit.
that's a phrase that really resonated with me at that time. And because he was telling someone like I got this, you know, I got a friend, you know, Noah. He's dope. You need to check him out. And like he was telling another kind of like old schooly person, and like he was like, is he making music like this? And like, well, he makes music like that too, but he also makes music like this. And he's like, well, if it's, you know, if it's simpleton stuff, he's like, and that's what he said, motherfucker, simple ain't easy. It doesn't mean that like, you know,
It doesn't. It
just
doesn't take away your skill per se. It just kind of.
no,
It actually can make you have more skill in this. Your delivery.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
delivery is everything at this point. Which words have you chosen? How long have you chosen to hold out that word? Where, what, what leads up to it? How does the substance? You know what I mean? Like, we don't got to worry about is the craft as much as we got to worry about now we can really worry about the substance more, you know. and
And I think
and
there's certain people who always, I guess, did their own thing, never kind of went into either of the syllable, lyrical, whatever the fuck.
I
You know what I'm
could
saying?
get
Artists over the years, I guess. But
some people are never gonna get away from it or change, you know. Some people are were never meant to embrace that from the start, and some people just
so so wait, are you overall? You're kind of saying like now you're just making music. Maybe at one point you thought you were into making hip hop. Now you're like it could go
I
anywhere. It's all your
now
creative outlet and how it comes out, right?
yeah, now I if someone sends me an instrumental and the style is like 80s G funk, I'm
Fuck yeah.
basically, you know, I've been using like electronic vocal effects for like fucking 15 years and crap on music, you know, but like
Right.
and I like that because it has that like electro feel. It's not about auto tune like correcting my singing because I can
Yeah,
sing
you like
okay.
the sound of yeah.
I like that electronic sound, and when I hear something like if it was like an 80s G funk sound, shit, it's gonna be like an electro, not like a Bruno Marsy, but it's gonna be some kind of like Calvin Harrisy kind of thing in my head. You know
Oh
what I
fuck
mean?
yeah.
Like
I always like
yeah,
the Roger Troutman, the Zap. You know
that's what I'm
that's
thinking. Like I'm
yeah,
thinking
the
like
fucking what's that called?
uh,
He was the voice box. Yeah, that's what he called it. And talk
talk
box and
box.
you're
Yeah,
bending your notes. You're
vocoder.
playing your notes. Yeah, vocoder. Yeah,
Yep. See
and
that.
that was his own thing and yeah, that's some serious man. Zap was on some funky ass
See, I
shit, man.
mean,
I love Zap.
if I hear that, you know, that kind of vibe, that's where I'm going. Like, why do I gotta wrap this shit up? Like,
Right.
if I hear something that just like is too R&B, too class soul, why do I even gotta go there?
Right.
Like, I don't like. I'm always doing this. Like, it's, you know, like when I'm getting like between trap, funk, soul, and R&B, you know, with the hip hop element. Yeah, I always have that kind of like da, 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 like in my voice. That's not singing a note, but that's like it has that kind of like a plosive, like wailing, like reggae, like in my voice.
Okay.
But that's like combining the hip hop with the singing element, and like you said, sometimes hard to get away from still rapping when you're
Right.
trying to provide a melody, right?
Well,
But like,
with rhyme schemes alone, you're just like, well, shit, it's fucking coming out.
yeah, yeah,
How you write your melody or how you put your words together.
yeah, but then
Okay.
but then when something comes on where it's just like like whether I make the beat or whether someone else makes the beat, if it could just ride through the empty spaces and the words you say, like you don't got to worry about
Right.
r- I mean, you can rhyme in the song, of course. I don't
Right.
have to worry about doing too much, and I can worry about like the way the style comes out, like or the way the melody comes out,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the way the delivery and the cadence on each piece of the melody comes out, and then once I have a picture of that in my head, then I can really formulate the way I want the lyrics to go together, and I don't got to worry about what fucking style of music it is at all. Like,
Right.
like
That's dope, man.
it,
That's how it
it's
should be.
like
That's
I
what
think in
music
the
should be.
last,
Freedom, man. It's freedom.
yeah, in the last, like I think some people like when I was recording the last video I put out, it's a song called Worms. All right, it's a song about little worms eating you from the inside, self-doubt, depression. Right, it's a metaphor for your depression becoming part of you because they're parasitic worms and you just have to live with them.
Mm-hmm.
But the way the just goes like, it's got a big pause. And when I was doing it with someone in the studio, they're like, don't you want to put something in the spaces? Because it just goes, I got these worries creeping into my mind. And the big pause. Like, what can I be? What I got inside. All right, so it's not rapping at all, and it's got these big pauses, and I can't classify whether I'm singing the song as a pop song or a trap song or a whatever. It's just like it's a little ditty. All right, that's all it is. And so, you know, my homie was like, so what are you trying to be? Like, what's the genre or the genre tag on this? I was like, I don't know. Like emotional electronic trap soul. Like,
just put it all together.
I don't know. Like, I don't really know. It's just, it has a little tune to it, and in each space, the words and the emotions are strong enough that you can just let that space have the echo of the words on your delay, so that
sustains,
so you hear them come back at you a second run around, and then you get on to the next thing until, you know, whatever. And
so is that kind of like, has it been any kind of like common occurrence, people like expecting you to rap because you built a reputation?
yeah it happens a lot.
But like you said, it's just all relative to how you feel and what the instrumental is. So you still do rap. It just you don't know when. You don't know when you're feeling it in order to. Yeah, that's how it should be, anyways. I mean, it's like, well, and that's kind of hip hop can have like any fucking, you know, beat possible. But that it goes like both ways. You could rap over any beat, but you could also sing over any beat. So
exactly,
why has it got to be one or the other, or it could be both? You know what I'm saying? So
you could rap over a bunch of farts. You could sing over.
I think that's been done.
Yeah, I'm sure it's been done, and you could sing over Wu-Tang Clan Ain't Nothing to Fuck With.
Ooh.
I would like to hear someone's R&B, you know, 90s R&B remix over that. I would be very curious as to what, you know.
Right.
It would sound like.
Well, let's get into like the instrumental, because like I mean, I think we come from a similar instrumental thing, you know, like you make your own drum sounds, and then you play the keyboard. And is it like, I mean, I'm like kind of out of the loop, but like I just brought to the understanding that people are like getting samples more, and like you know, I know how hip hop started obviously with samples, but I always feel like it evolved by people playing their own.
Hold up, I'm just turning for a second here.
No worries. But I guess I don't understand. Like, I guess it kind of goes both ways. Like, sometimes a beat's like, it's like bought in samples, or I'm out of the loop.
Okay, so if you're talking about like sample packs, so
digital sample pack.
I think it just became a thing because they learned it would be profitable. Producers who are using synths to.
I remember like Acid Pro came out, and then you could like have all those. You could change the key, change the rhythm.
Oh,
like, is this really original beat? If anyone can have access to it, that's what my kind of question is. Because like, it's truly original when you make every sound yourself, obviously.
Yes, obviously. I mean, okay, so if you're talking about like legally, you know what I mean? If something is something that's sampleable, if it's, you know, like a royalty-free element, yeah, I mean, you can use it to make an original beat and sample it in any way you want. But yes, there's always an element of like how many other people are using this sample in such a way. So then there's
because like everyone had the 808 kick, but not everyone thumped it the same way, right?
Yep. So that's the thing. It's like, so if I have this sample It's like if okay, this is from a sample kit from a producer. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Who produces their own shot sounds or their own
Mm-hmm.
whatever, and then you've got
Records all the drum
something.
parts. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you've got like a drum loop from something else that's your sample, and if you got another piece of hair, like you're gonna find a way to chop that shit up to make it original.
Right.
That's it, right? Like you could isolate elements because in your DAW, you can.
Yeah, you
I
could do
mean,
so much shit to
yeah,
make it sound different, but
and Logic, I can clearly just go into. I could clearly just actually take a wave file and cut it down to the size of especially if
oh
it's like
yeah,
if it's a drum loop, like I can definitely isolate the clap out of a drum
yeah.
loop.
Oh, for sure.
Unless it's a really, really busy one. But then I wouldn't be worried about isolating the clap out of that. I'd be trying to emulate it and recreate it
Well, it's probably
myself.
just coming from my own background and sense of taste of like you should make all the sounds, but what's more common for you? Do you kind of just do both, or I mean, I
I
don't knock
do
what anyone does, but
I do both. I do both. Like I tend to uh listen to. First of all, I'll listen to some drum samples. I'll like
mm-hmm.
listen to them, and then I'll kind of like look at them. I'll put them. I'll maybe slap even the samples into the program so I can look at them physically,
Right.
like
See the
they're
waveform, yeah.
lay it.
Yeah.
And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to, if I like the way that sounds, I'm gonna try to recreate that to a degree. So what I'll have is like those same elements in that same pattern, but that I've made.
I see what you're saying.
And then once I have those, since I made them, and I'll tend to do that in a MIDI or a waveform, which I've recreated them one by one.
Mm-hmm.
All those single elements are movable at that
Right.
point. Because like I'm not a drummer, so
Right.
I'm not that concerned about like the effect of the live whole drum performance, because I can't do that very well. I can do that with like my hats and my snare but like I can't finger drum. You see the videos online, people are spectacular
Oh
with some of
yeah,
this
yeah.
shit. Yeah, shit. So I follow
Doing this shit without a metronome, like yeah, people are
some of
fucking
the
crazy with that
producers
shit.
I work with, or some of the people I just follow, are just like, man, they are really good at that shit, and I cannot do that shit. So I need to play to my strengths, which is, I think, you
Yeah.
know, which is whatever my strength is. I don't know, but I think it's maybe more in like the. I think my strength as a producer is probably in the arrangement.
Right.
That's probably the what drops in and out, when the drops come, how it's arranged to go with when your hook comes in, or blah blah blah. Like
Yeah, the song structure kind of.
song
Well,
structure
that
and
kind of like
arrangement.
that probably like it naturally evolved over time.
Yeah, because back
You
in the
just kind of
day, it was like, it was much more repetitive, and
yeah.
it
You
didn't.
guys kind of used to do the kind of I don't know, kind of like East Coast style, like just like a repetitive loop and not even a chorus half the time, sort of thing, right?
I
Isn't that
I
kind
would I
of
would say that back in the day, we were kind of like if this is back in the day when, for example, when me and Vinny, or me and Adrian, were like always rapping together, for example, back in those days, I
yeah,
would say I would say the style of things we did went between three things. I would say it was either pretty East Coast, or it was pretty Midwest, like a chopping kind of style,
yep.
or it's like a dirty Southish kind of thing. And
Mm.
and I think that's more my influence, is bringing in the dirty Southish thing, because I'm the more drawly although I'm always particular on the way it is, I'm always on the backbeat.
Right,
I'm
right.
not I'm not skippity boppity. Like if you took if you took
Very fair.
if you looked at Outkast and you got Big Boy and Andre, right?
Right.
Big Boy, skippity boppity on the front of the beat when he does this with his voice.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yep.
Andre's behind.
You're like, yeah, it's like
So,
Pimp C compared to Bum B.
yeah, I'm more like Pimp C. You
Yeah,
know,
that's
I
dope.
am.
Laid
I'm
back,
well. I mean, if
but
you
kind
think
of, but
about it,
it's like well, it's a singing style too in a sense.
yeah, but also think about it. My parents aren't from Beloit. Like they're kind of, my mom's from Missouri and my dad's from North Carolina. So it's like
Oh
that.
no shit.
That's probably a reason why that
Right,
happened.
right. Yeah, I know.
Or
Yeah, all right.
happens. But I can't say that Southern equals drawling, because like I said, if we're talking about outcasts, they're from the same place. They're both from Atlanta, right?
Right.
But I'm the slurred on the backbeat but consistent
Mm.
person. So why I think that was working quite well, if why it works quite well if we're talking about the traditional boom bap speeds, is because the constancy of it. Like
Okay.
it's just I don't have to worry about the the syllabification and all that bullshit we were talking about before. Just try to avoid that, and as long as it stays constant. And I think the reason why it works with like a dirty southish kind of cadence is
Yeah.
because I don't know. I prefer to rap slow as to rap fast. I used to think that rapping fast equaled better.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
It just like when I thought more about it, and I was like, yeah, there are times and there are times, but for the most part, like when I'm riding out to a slow beat, I don't want to necessarily have to double the
Yeah.
cadence. You know what I mean?
It's just relative to you have to like you just look back like is this a good song or is this good for the song? You know what I mean? Because
Yeah. So when it
not
comes to
everyone can flow fast. I suppose
yeah, I mean, and so
smoothly.
when it comes to production, like I think that's the thing that I'm thinking about when it comes to production. What is the I think less about the sound, because me as an artist, when I'm self-producing you know, um, I get caught so early in the process of like what I want to sound like on this, that like it comes out way too early. It's like all I've got is a fucking kick and a snare, and I'm already thinking about the way I want to rap to it. Like
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, well,
so,
that's kind of another question. Like, yeah, do you kind of purposely force yourself to wait till the beat's developed, or is it like do you stay with the melody that's in your head and try to get that into the beat?
I really try to. I
Because you
really
have
try.
this thing in your head, and you're like, I got to
Yeah.
get this on the instrumentation. Because I mean, I'm a similar way, but it's like I always like want this urge. I was like, I wish I could go in with just like a blank canvas, so to speak, and then come up with something after the instrumentation's developed. You know what I mean? Because usually it's the other way around. Usually it's like melody and lyrics come first, and then you make up the music. You
Mm.
make up the music like blindly, then like see what melody comes out. That's what I've been like wanting to get into more. I got too much of a fucking back catalog trying to get all the old shit out. So
That's the epitome of what I want to do, but it doesn't always happen. Like the song that I gave an example, which is I didn't produce, but I came out that way, is like that song called Worms. I
right.
wrote that song without a beat. You know what
Oh,
I
so you wrote
mean?
that melody and kind of like the hook.
I didn't even have a melody. I just had a cadence.
Oh,
it
right.
just it just had a speed that the way the words went. I didn't think of it having that little the way the little ditty thing went to it. But then as soon as I heard that beat, and I already had memorized that thing as if it was a poem that I had already memorized. And
Right.
then the way like those words just fell into that, you know, like it wasn't like a pre-written thing that was just like like a throwaway verse that you can place in anything. It was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I knew I had written that to be for the beat that I hear it for,
Right,
but like
right.
I couldn't or didn't make that beat yet. And when I heard it, I knew it was just gonna like fall into place. So like
Mm.
and what's beautiful is like when you have something like that, the recording process doesn't get fuddled and muddled with endless
It just it feels
it,
when it's complete in a sense.
yeah, you just pop in there and just it's like 15 minutes of vocal work between hook and verses. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's one take Jake shit, but it
Smooth
doesn't sound.
session. Yeah.
Yeah, super smooth session, and then you get that time to play with. Well, I get the time to play with the vocal effects and all that kind of shit after in my
Right.
man, I put a lot of like backtracking and songs like that these days. I mean, I think that song has less, but
Just give it that
I
kind of undertones and
I try
chorusy kind of thing.
between choruses, harmonies, blah blah blah, just like little bits. Man, sometimes I got like 5, 6
You
things
ever
running.
yeah, you ever like you sit there and you feel like you're too long on the song. You're like, man, I added too many layers. Then you gotta like go
Yeah,
back to the drawing board, start taking shit
yeah,
out.
yeah.
It's like, what the fuck happened to that original fucking melody? What the fuck? It's like buried
I
in some shit.
I've been there a lot, and I think that's given me some perspective into engineering a lot, because then you'll get to hear more of the original punch and quality and how good that main take sounds. I
Yeah,
think.
it comes back to simple ain't easy, right? You
Yeah,
trying to
simple ain't easy,
you trying to
and
fucking complicate it with all these things. You're like, wait a
yeah,
second. Maybe the
yeah,
simplicity of it was
and
there all
that
along,
like
but
and an artist that I think back to that is I think if I'm doing something very soulish is kind of a big inspiration of mine. Someone that I always loved since he came out in the '90s is D'Angelo,
oh, right on.
and you've heard D'Angelo before. You know how many fucking like the vocal
Oh,
takes he has in the background.
oh
You
yeah.
know, dude.
Especially he has those little like nuances he'll add in like
Yeah,
just certain
his little
Yeah,
falsettos. Yeah,
he's
yeah.
smooth, man.
Like he's super smooth, but damn, he's got like 5 of them running in the background sometimes, I swear. But like,
Oh, and I think nowadays I know he does like big band style. Like he tries to
yeah,
emulate with like 4 or 5 backup singers or whatever.
yeah,
But back in the
because
day, I think you're just going to the track, back in the 90s.
I think he was just doing it to the track. Now, with like when is the Vanguard, the band, it's which
Yeah.
basically it's like the Roots with D'Angelo. They've got like 4 or 5 backup
Oh,
singers
and
too.
like Erykah Badu's band or something like that
Yeah,
too. New
yeah.
Orleans.
I saw the Vanguard in Osaka, actually, at a summer festival. It's a good
Oh
band,
shit. Oh
but
yeah.
anyway, of course they're a good band. It's like half the Roots with D'Angelo, of course. All right,
Right. Yeah.
but anyways, the point is that I even thought that someone as masterful as that at doing that, from time to time, it stuck out as like too much,
Yeah.
and and that's like every 5% of the time I hear this, like, oh, it sounds kind of like muddied in there by all this, and
It's like
so I
too
naturally
much
think of
too much time with
too
the
much.
song or something. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
so I naturally think of myself as, well, I'm not going to be as masterful as that, so I'm gonna have to be a little bit more picky about what we're doing here, because my voice is not that smooth either. It can be in certain circumstances at certain keys and at certain
Right.
timbres pretty damn smooth and poppy. I can sing fine, but sometimes it's not quite in the key in the way that beat is, that like I can't provide that other octave or falsetto or that other key to make the harmony. You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, without it being this level of like a plosive note or without it being like, you know what I mean? I'm really thinking in a sense, like really in a singing sense at times. And I'm like, man,
Yeah.
I never really thought about this kind of shit before. Cause back when I was like just rapping back in the day, when I flipped a little chorus where I flipped the little hooks when I was singing, like
Yeah.
I didn't give a shit this much about like how the singing was
Yeah. You don't think about it much, or
because it was like, look at me, I'm singing.
right. Well, you naturally just just through trial and error and consistency, you kind of just pick up those things, and hopefully you're learning from things from the past like that. But
Yeah.
well, that's another thing too. Like with the syllable thing, it's I guess to me that's one of the best ways to kind of teach yourself to sing. Is just like really focus on each syllable, because like those are the notes, in a sense, and how you're
Yeah.
gonna like fit that into your cadence or your melody. But
Well, how do they
all right.
run? How do your notes run together? It's the vocal run, right? From one syllable to another, you got to run the note together.
Well,
You could,
and a good singer, you don't have to think about the scale. You don't have to think about where the note's going to go. It's just, okay, you got the
yep,
key. It naturally comes out in this major, minor, whatever way.
yep.
And so, again, that's just like consistency. And, I've always done things the hard way. Maybe you can relate.
Yeah,
Learn the hard way.
yeah, it's been a lot of trial and error for me on certain
By doing it
things.
your own way. By being like, no, I'm not going to,
Yeah,
you know.
I think my voice is much less the problem than the way I'm trying to use it. You know, like I'm just trying to put it together in such a way that, plus like I said, I love the vocal quality of electronic effect and vocal correction. I always have, like, it's like
Right.
talk boxing. I've always loved that. So there's a certain, when we're talking about one syllable to the other, and I was saying that's the vocal run. Well, when you're
Right.
talking about the use of auto-tune, that's where it's at. That's what
Right.
it is. That's what it is. It's the vocal run between one note and the other. So
Right.
it will catch the hard correction if you're singing, if you're in your key here, 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 here. Okay, that's fine. And because those notes were actually kind of like they had a pause between each one, and
Right.
I'm going straight to getting directly to the next one. But so that's going to give you that hard correction, right? Like that's going to give you that warble sound. But there's going to be a single warble. I don't know why I'm saying warble, but that's what I
know
feel
what
like
you're
it
referring
is.
to. Yeah.
But you're going to get a single one because you've done that like that way. So which is going to be pretty seamless. But if you're going like in further runs, or if you're doing them in more complicated sequences, you have to actually learn to run those together in a singing manner that is not conducive to things unless you're singing like funk.
Right.
To me. So you got to be like, you got to like, you can't pause. You can't wait to try to get to the next one cleanly. Because yeah, so you got to like slide them. I call it the slide. Like,
well, and that's that's why I just had a violin player on here. We're talking because it's like, yeah, in that sliding process, there's those in between notes that are technically like going out of tune of your scale. But you're like, they're so brief. They're just like right before you hit the right one or right after you hit the right one. You're like you slide into it, then you slide out. It sustains out of it. But it's the same with like a dobro or any type of note that slides that has in between notes, basically, which is voice all the way, unless you can just fucking like hit them like a classically or whatever master singer of sorts,
like a really good singer.
Right. Well, and it's that's why it's so incredible by people who sing effortlessly, and like they had like no fucking training. Like, to me that blows my fucking mind, especially like knowing how hard I've had to work at singing myself. But like, you see fucking just a great singer and you're just like, holy shit, You know,
Yeah,
they don't have
they
to think about
just
anything. They're like, yeah, this is a.
well,
It's
we got to give them credit because you know that everybody's got the same vocal cords, and it is from practice. That is how they learn to get that good. But they just started young, and they just really worked at it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
so
Well, but yeah, but I think some people just some things come more naturally. But yeah, you're right. Everybody has
I
some type of. Some people could take 2 hours. Some takes fucking 2 decades to
yeah.
accomplish
So
the same thing. You know what I'm saying?
how
But
it
you still have to
clicks.
practice either way. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
how it clicks. Like, so everybody's got the same capabilities, but not everybody expresses it in the same way. When you put in the same amount, you know, the effort in, effort out doesn't always translate.
Well, and
And
what you were
yeah,
saying, like how you use your voice, like you didn't always think you had a good voice, but like, or how you could use it, and it's also like getting how other people hear you and getting a different pair of ears can, like, I don't know, to me could like do wonders, or has done wonders for me, just to like give you that sense of direction or something. Because
yeah,
you said something like that where you're like, um you just didn't know how to use it appropriate to the key, so to speak. But then you still have the ability to do it correctly, but sometimes just getting someone else to hear it from a fresh pair of ears, I guess that's what I'm getting at.
yeah. Like, is this the way that I think I hear it, or is the way that I think I hear it even what the way I want to be going about it? Like, just tell me.
Right.
Just sit back and don't. I'm not even going to tell you anything about the way I want it to sound before I play this for you. I just want you to listen to this, or before I do it live for you, however you listen to it, like, and
Right.
then tell me your opinion on how it sounds. You know what I mean? Like,
And like you might be able to hear someone else the same way. Someone else trying to write a song, and you hear them,
oh, I think so.
with constructive criticism the same way you might want them to hear you.
I
You know what
think
I'm
so.
saying?
This is 100%. There's no question about that. It's like proofreading a paper.
Yeah, exactly.
How many errors would you miss back in the day when you had to write papers for like a class?
Shit. You got to rewrite it all over to go through it.
Tons of them, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
it's really hard to
One a
catch
sentence, damn near.
it's really hard to catch your own spelling errors sometimes when you type. You have to be very vigilant of it to do it.
Right.
But like when you read someone else's shit on social media, you pick apart their grammar and their spelling real quick. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
but
Oh shit.
your own shit. That's what it is with music, and that's when you're talking about. Well, there's the subjective songwriting and art quality to it, but there's also just
Does it sound good?
yeah
Is it a good song?
the aesthetic quality of the sound. You know what I mean?
Is it musically pleasing?
Yeah.
Whether it's
Does it
musical correctness, or does it flow
or the rap or
as a
the flow
good
or
song?
whatever it is, like, tell me. And of course, in this day and age of social media, like, when you're asking for that from people, you honestly get a lot of bullshit at the same time when you ask for that, because it's diluted and it's become, you know what I mean?
People want to express, like, how deep and how caring they are, equally as much as they want to
Troll
hate on
you.
you. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like they want to show both extremes of it. It's like, you ain't really this deep. You wouldn't really say this to me in person if I was sitting next to you, would you? You probably wouldn't have the courage to. And that's either, whether it's love or hate. You know what I'm saying? But I guess it gives them that opportunity to type it. But
I've had plenty of instances where someone will be like, "Hey, can you give me some constructive criticism on something? I'll give you some on yours, just if you want to hear some." I was like, okay, I'll bite into it, and then I will listen to what something is, because it's music, and I will give some very lengthy criticism, whether it's praise or critique or whatever. It's quite you know me, I'm fucking very particular with what I'm hearing, and I write a
Right,
whole
right,
fucking book to the person, you know, and they're like,
right.
oh, and then there have been plenty of times when I'm pretty sure that person didn't actually listen to what I sent them, like didn't even
Yeah,
listen. They just sent back negative critic. Like they'll be like, I think you need to. Like
yeah. It's
the last time this happened on a song where like it's very like it's a very emotional song, and the delivery is like it's not soft, and the response back was like, it sounds like you're reading and the hook is a little bit like you need more emotion in the hook, but that's the antithesis of what the song's like. so so
yeah, yeah.
so I was like, you clearly didn't even listen to it. Like, if you want to send me back fake criticism after like 3 minutes of time because the song's longer than 3 minutes,
Right.
like
Or you
like
listen like just enough to like, yeah, like I'm gonna focus on this point real quick, but like, yeah,
like
you can get into it.
you know. And since I've gotten into more and more of those things, I get into less and less of this, like, I support you, you support me, this for this, and
Oh yeah,
the e verse of things, because like people are always trying to like hustle something on someone to, and they don't understand that that's not getting them any sort of like integrity. That's not buying them integrity points with anyone. You know what I
well,
mean?
and at the end of the day, man, if you're really in it to try to make some real art or music, that's all that shit is taken away from that, man. Like
Yeah.
you focusing on all this shit that's you want it to happen through this thing, but like all this extra shit is taken away from that thing. You know what I mean? It's like it's killing the soul of your
Yeah.
fucking art. And well, I guess that's how he comes back to you get that like mediocre, soulless kind of music. It's maybe that's kind of like the
Yeah.
focus of
I
people's
mean, come on.
lives, in a sense. But
If you're talking like hip hop, there's so many people that are just in it to get the bag. If you're talking
oh
like
yeah,
rock,
and they make it obvious.
yeah. If you're talking rock, there's so many people that are in it to be a rock star.
To get women, yeah, whatever.
If you're talking jazz, there's so many people who are in it to just be, have that
Constantly.
artsy fartsiness to them.
Right. I feel what you're saying.
That people get caught up in the
Well, again, I think that comes back to you can hear it in the song. Like, did this come from a real, authentic person?
yeah.
And to me, it just seems like more common than not. There's more music that isn't. I think maybe it's
Yeah.
relative to era, maybe it's relative to genre, but maybe the masses in general just they can't handle authentic shit all the time, and maybe we're not supposed to. Again, it's just like any form of entertainment. Like maybe it's not always supposed to be real, but I guess in my own personal taste, that's usually what I'm looking for. Even if it's like some feel good song that does make you dance, it's like it's got to have some type of soulful something behind it, or you could tell it was like they like had to write this shit. They were like it had to get out of them. You know what I'm saying? Like to me, I feel like I can hear that shit, but I don't know.
Yeah. I like I do listen to a lot of new music too, and I could like you
I mean, I do
a lot
too,
of but a lot of people that I put you on that are like kind of like pop sound, you'd probably be like, who the fuck are these people? I've never even heard, but it's like this is a top 40 kind of ish sound, but it's not really. It's more like the trap soul kind of movement sort of stuff. And like, you could tell the difference totally when someone's, you know what I mean? Like even when someone's, like I said, when someone's even got a little bit of songwriting for someone else, but like has a contributive part of that process and really gets into it.
right.
Like here's an example. Like let me put two artists, let me juxtapose them, and like, so we're going very, very top 40-ish here.
Okay.
And one person I like a lot, and one person I've always thought is like, like not an industry plant, but like it's just a product of that. So
right, they
okay,
exist.
You're Justin Bieber.
Right.
That is a person who's basically not writing his own songs, and you can tell.
Yeah.
I
don't think he has a song that's very, I don't know, like emotional or just heartfelt.
Emotional and artful.
Yeah.
In essence, the guy can sing okay, but like what I don't hear the soulful words coming out be, because the songwriting doesn't seem like it's coming from a place in the heart.
Right.
And it seems like though he might have a place in the process, he's been in the game so long that his place in the process is now based on creating that thing, which is going to
Right.
have that response. Okay, now here's another top 40 artist, which is younger and newer, but I like a lot. Do you know who Khalid is?
I don't. Maybe.
He sings like that Young, Dumb, and Broke song in that like location from a couple of years ago. Like
I feel like I probably saw him on.
he's super young. He's like 20 now. The, but the
Sound like
he's a,
Jesus and Mero or something. That's probably nice.
but
No, I don't know.
he's
I don't know the mainstream that enough to.
he's got like a beautiful voice too. He's got a really good voice. But anyways,
Okay.
you can tell by two elements that he has a creative part in the songwriting process. One, he's a little bit repetitive and he's young. He's like 20. So the fact that he has these kind of repetitive themes that he can't seem to erase from it shows that he's growing in the songwriting process. And the
Right.
second part is when he's like got the more soulful song. You could just hear it in the lyrics. Like there's no part of like commercialist, like this is what I want to sell as a thing. Like when he's on feature songs with people, that's totally what it is because they want his voice. But like
Right.
when he's on shit with people, like there's like two or three songs that he does with this a very like not well known artist from, I think she's from like Illinois or something originally, but lives in LA. A kind of modern electro ballad singer named Alina Baraz, and like these duets that they do.
Yeah.
Man, that shit is like that's like wow, that's a really good song. That's just like that. No, that's my, you know. Opinion. And then like they become my little jams, as I call them. I always get my little jams on my playlist of shit, you know. And then I always put them on like when I'm with homies or whatever, you know, hand me the aux or whatever, and they're like, where do you get these jams, man? Where do you like you where's how does your music taste get so like soulful and shit? I'm like, I scour, you know.
Yeah. You're always in a search to find
Yeah.
something new.
And when I
I can
hear
relate to that.
and when I hear things that are not that, I just
Yeah.
it's like you were saying, you know, because you
Kinda,
go through it.
we're
You
kind
go
of
through enough
saturated
stuff.
with it. Yeah, for sure. Well, that's the
Yeah,
thing. We have so much access to so many different, types of music or entertainment. It's like kind of hard to sift through sometimes, but it's always like, I don't know if you can always like find a new artist and you're like, how the fuck did I not know about this person? They've been out for a decade or whatever the fuck, But
and that
yeah,
happens to me a lot, a
yeah.
lot.
When good music's good music and timeless music, songs that'll last. That's kind of shit that stands the test of time. I mean, that's.
Well,
I guess
that
you kind of hear that when it comes out. It all, I don't know. It all depends. It's all relative.
well that is a great point because for something that I've been thinking just more and more, that's the goal. That's
Oh yeah,
the goal of
most of it.
all music you create. I think because I think I'm gonna do a little shout out to a new thing I'm doing in a bit, but not until later. But on something that I was uploading to it, someone's comment was like, "Oh, when did you make this song? Like, this is like I like this vibe. Like, it's just when did you put this together? It's like is that comment as in like was it a month ago or blah blah blah?"
Right.
And I was like, "Man, this song's from like 2016. This song's like 4 years old." And they're like, "Oh my god, for real? I can't hear that at all."
Yeah.
That's the goal. You don't want
Right.
it to sound like this is 2020. Like
Yeah.
that's
Exactly.
for the great summer radio jams that you can bop out to for 15
Right.
minutes of fame. Yeah, I mean, I guess, but like So you could have a couple.
And that's why I always see the people go so crazy about those 15-minute jams or whatever. It's you don't realize in a couple months you're gonna forget about it and be on to the next one. But then you always have those few songs that just they just last.
They never go away. They never go away.
That's why we can still. That's why we still call shit classic rock or the '70s soul or. Or now how people refer to old hip hop, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean there are also some of those 15-minute ones that just due to the way they were marketed never go away too.
Oh, for sure.
It's like your Bruno Mars 24 Karat Magic, like that's like stuck. That's like now stuck everywhere for I think probably gonna be almost forever. But that's what that song was and is,
right?
Like
When he's someone he's got a pretty soulful voice, but like
no, he's actually a really good artist if you go into the catalog. But
right, but what you mainly hear is a lot of just mainstream, made to dance party.
Well, it's not just about the mainstream make it dance thing. It's about the one song being marketed in such a way that just get this shit. I see.
I'm probably confusing it with another one, but. I don't know. What's the Uptown Funk one? Yeah, that's the one. Funk,
but that's a Calvin Harris song, and I like that song because I like Calvin Harris's production style a lot.
Right?
He's super funky. He's super funky. And
what about what's that dude? Oh fuck, I can't. Oh, you ever get into like Tom Mitch? He's doing something like De La Soul. Right now, and Michael Kiwanuka.
I've heard of him, but I never really heard the music. It's just,
dude, you should check out Michael Kiwanuka. He does modern stuff that's like super sounds like 70s soul and been compared to like Marvin Gaye and Al Green and then some shit's like Pink Floyd and some shit.
Those are all three large comparisons right there. You know what I mean?
But you hear them all. No, I don't know. But then, he just did some stuff recently with Tom Mitch, and he did a thing with Nas, like, not too long ago. I don't know.
Well, Nas is always
I'm not going to be up too much longer here.
But,
I got a 2-year-old. She gets up at 6 or 7, so.
Yeah, but that's the point. That's the point, is to make the timeless song. That's it. That's the goal. It doesn't... Right. It doesn't really matter, like, the quality of the song.
Or the genre or, any of that.
Because remember, this is music. And quality is decided by the opinion of the person. It's all subjective.
The listener, yeah.
So the only thing that you can't argue is how genuine it is once you can recognize it. And how much, replay value is also something that is subjective, but you'll indefinitely get more of that when the genuine nature of the product and the emotion shines through. That enough people can't deny that, and or just
although there's always sometimes there's hidden gems who never get exposed, but.
Yeah, well, it's a sad world, and there I
don't feel bad about that.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't feel.
And now we have so many outlets. You can fucking, you don't have to be huge. You could be in your own little.
I'm not
network.
sitting up worried about how Van Gogh wasn't fucking recognized for shit until he was dead. Okay.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Because if I think about that. If I think about that, then I'm gonna get fucking depressed.
I'm the same way. No, because at the end of the day, he was doing it for himself, regardless. So that's the point.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like you would do it one way or another. It's something you just do.
Yeah, so that would give you confidence in your own self and your calls, but it would also make you think like, damn, I'm going to be doing this shit to the deathbed, and then someone thinking like, hey, no, it's pretty dope, man. Like,
exactly. Now that he's gone, man, he's awesome.
Skills. Because
but it's a thing like you can't stop it from coming to you, right? You can't. No. Until that stops, that's when you might consider stop creating. It's just
And I
that
think that
simple.
I
You
think
know?
that's my number one issue with my marketability is I don't have something to just say that like this is my goal and this is my cause and this is my anything that speaks to people beyond just how it speaks to me, because it makes
Right.
me do what I have to do. I'm making songs for myself, motherfucker. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to change the world. Like
Right.
it's this is not We Are the World, like in it's not like
Yeah. No.
it's
No.
and it's not
When
me being it's not me being selfish. Like it has nothing to do with that. Like it's just me expressing who I am because this is who I've always been. And and it like it ain't got shit to do with y'all. I'm sorry. So like I don't market it as such a thing that like you need to hear this because it's
it's yeah.
if you're this person, this is what like I market it
I
as like
dude, I
this is
hate that shit.
yeah, that I market it as this is the story behind the song and my experience, and if it speaks to you and the experience that you've had, then I like
Right.
I'm glad that it you're thinking on the same wavelength as me.
Right.
And if you then listen to this and think this is something that is cool and nice, and you even want to go so far as to like fuck with it, like download it, like purchase it, like come to my shows, like be an active supporter, then
Right.
there's you have no idea how grateful a person I am and how humble a person I am in that sense. You know what I mean? Like, and
Yeah.
that's the kind of way I market it. You know, and I think for for marketing in a fucking Shark Tank, like it's
Oh
it's
no, because
it's admittedly not the best way for me to be fucking coming out with a goddamn bag, but
well, and that's
that's
how because they want to. You have to have something in order to market yourself. That's what at least that's what they say. Like, and then once you have your thing, you almost have to like stick with it or stick with
yeah.
that angle. But I almost feel like in a sense, like maybe because we have more tools to our access, that like maybe it's like starting to revive artists who just want to be fucking artists, and like
Uh,
you could put out whatever you want to put out. It's almost like Prince, but like Prince didn't have these tools, and he's got like how fucking 20 albums in the vault or something unreleased.
yeah.
But
Yeah, a
so
lot
it's
of
like,
them that people don't even know about. So, speaking of tools, I want to make this. Can I make a segue? And like, this is almost like a pitch, and this is almost like a prom. This is almost like a promo pitch. But I don't know if you know about this. Okay, there is. Okay, I'm gonna make a sales pitch to you. In fact, all right.
oh shit, I just bought a car. No.
What what would you say to What would you say to an application where you can post any length of music like SoundCloud, okay, with no restrictions and no fees upon that,
Already dope.
but
Yeah.
that also lets you post any size photo and any length of video like IGTV with Instagram.
That'd be dope.
There is an app and it's brand new and it's out of fucking Wisco. It's out of Madison. It's developed. It's called Loom. L and then with a U with a umlaut and an M.
Really?
It was in
So it's like
beta.
social media, but with music,
Mm-hmm. Dude,
which
it's
seems so
awesome.
fucking obvious. Yeah.
It's awesome. It's awesome. It's a fucking music app like SoundCloud, but I can vlog. I could vlog a 10-minute video and post it. Or I could post a new song, or I could post a picture just like Instagram and say, "Hey, look at my concert," or
Right.
whatever.
Right.
Like it's dope.
That's
It's a you
because that's
dude, it's an artist, you should get on it. Like it's got all
fuck yeah.
genres.
Well,
It's
and that
got
I think that's the hardest part about any social media is like you always got to have the video aspect to really get people to listen to music, as opposed to just people just looking to listen.
yeah,
So like
so
something like that seems like way more ideal.
So it's not really streaming the music videos like YouTube, but you could post your music video on it just as a video. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Because it just seems to accept any size video, and you click on it. So it, You should look into this. I'll send you more about it, but it's really dope because it's actually a
Look it up.
super powerful app, and it's out of Madison. So kudos to
That's
Wisconsin,
crazy,
which
man.
is fucked up. And also here's the other things. The development team, they're not like on some ploy. Like the development team are active users and fans who actually like help the community, like in it, share and have contests and blah blah blah. And it's real like grassroots right now the
Shit,
way
I
it
don't.
is.
I
But
can't find it.
is it? Do you have an iPhone or an Android?
Droid.
See, that's what I was gonna say. The one
It's
thing
on.
about it, it's
Oh fuck.
because no, it's so new that
Oh, so not yet.
Apple beta only came out of this. I only learned this because I was back in B Town for Christmas, and people were telling me about this shit. And there's this new thing that some people are using, but it's not on this yet. I guess they were in beta testing for whatever until November of last year. It's as new as that for
Shit.
iPhone.
So
And
eventually it'll
they're beta testing for Android now, and they want to have it by as soon as they can get it.
All right, and the more popular it gets in the meantime, the quicker.
Yeah, because right now,
Dope.
right now with the fact that it was beta and then it's only iPhone, which makes it more exclusive now, but it doesn't give it the full range of like the ability to do that. But like, remember how SoundCloud was when it was new and it was that organic?
Somewhat. I didn't get into it till like 2012. But,
Well, let's say like 2008, something like that, 2007, 8, 9, 10. Like those were very, very, very organic years. When I had a lot of reach and traffic then, but then I fell off because I went on this Japan adventure for a little bit, and I kind of got off my like the internet social thing at that point.
By
and
the time you came back, it wasn't organic.
It wasn't organic anymore. It's like Facebook doesn't have any organic reach anymore unless you're talking about ads or people no. And Instagram has some. See, but that's why this thing is like with the limited amount of users and all, but like it's the amount of organic traffic you're getting per amount of users and blah blah blah. Even if so many of them are artists, it's fucking massive.
Well, you know, are you on Bandcamp? They just started doing a social feed.
Really?
And I swear to God, I just put out an album less than 2 weeks ago, and I swear it's probably under like a new release radar, or I got it as a pay what you want. And it's like it's been just like getting new fans, just like all organically, and it even tells you like from Bandcamp feed.
Bandcamp has a social they
redesigned. I think you can I don't know if you can post videos, but I know you can post pictures and like a paragraph, type something with your album. And I'm just getting hits from like random people, like I'm not even people I'm trying to promote to already or already fans. It's just like
then I should revamp some of the.
Because they have an app now too. Because you have both options. They
got an app now too. So I got to get on Bandcamp and revamp some of the material that I released on Bandcamp, and then rebrand it through the new look of Bandcamp and release some other new stuff too. I think.
Well, like I said, it might even just through like new release radar, you might just get some hits you never thought you'd get. I was super surprised because I put stuff in the past, and it wasn't it was just always people who heard me through elsewhere, Facebook, existing fans. Now it's just all of a sudden just people must just be using the feed more, or just starting to get popular.
Yeah, that's what this other Loom app too. It's just like, wow, hey, where are you coming from?
That's dope, man.
Okay, and so the other thing about this app too, it's hush hush. You can't make money on it, but you can. People are actually making more money on it than anything else, and the way it works is you don't officially get money when you stream or it rewards you for streaming and sharing other people's stuff. You get these things called coins or what. You get these basic coins, and then what people will gift your track. and these little gifts have worth of coins too. So it's like a sharing system where like listening and gifting people stuff actually gives you back stuff. And
You
then
can
if you
monetize it.
make enough to cash out, there's like another connected app which will then take that cash out amount and put it in your bank account as real money. So within the app itself, no stream is actually a paid stream. So if you can think,
That's true. That's true.
if you think about what that means, it means that people
Right.
who are like on like a contract for example, an instrumental where it's like, we're not even talking about exclusives. Like they have basic ass rights to something. They have like a 10,000 stream limit, to what they're posting. Like it's not even a single paid stream, so they could use it directly on there. And if that song blows up and you had that many things, I just started using this like 3.5 weeks ago. I got on it when I was there over the New Year. I downloaded it, but I didn't fuck with it for like a month after I came back. And then I was like, let's try this. And then the first things that I uploaded is just like, there's still some form of like kind of always these days. There's like payola, if you cash up enough people to get in your little click and repost all your shit. But that's a promo grind. It's not as much of like a payola backdoor way in. Like if someone wants to spend their own money to try to create their own promotional team to make it seem like they're doing better than they are, and you buy into it, that's a hustle.
Yeah.
And if it works, it works, So
however you could do it, fake it till you make it.
And shit, if Bandcamp's kind of gone that way too, I gotta.
It seems like such an obvious thing, especially like if in a sense, maybe people kind of watch like shorter videos and are actually listening less to like full albums or full songs, So
yeah,
it seems like such an obvious thing for like people who are like real music listeners, but I guess people kind of like also separate the two. It's kind of like, I do my Spotify playlists when I'm driving around, then I'm fucking sitting at home on Facebook, or I don't know. I mean, I'm obsessed with just finding new music all the time. So
yeah, that's what I want to do. I don't want to dink around and scroll on my feed for shit. Like it's not what I do.
God.
I don't.
Shit. I don't like to keep up with that. Honestly, that's one of the biggest reasons I started this, man. It's like I don't want to keep up with people with fucking typing and like semi-stalking your profile to look at pictures and shit. It's like have a fucking conversation. Like
I have conversations and DM with people and stuff all the time, but it's often about, I love your work that you're doing, and that's just how things start. And sometimes you're video calling people and things, but it's not. I don't want to scroll through a feed of any. The only on this new app, I'm scrolling through the feed because it's all new people. They're all, no major artists. It's all independent stuff. Everybody's like the community's really all supportive and organic and budding, and you're like, okay, this is refreshing, so that's okay. And Instagram from time to time, but like that's only because I follow enough dope ass beat makers to like.
Yeah, exactly. It's the shit you'd want to see, so you kind of set it up so it's
but like
to you. But
Facebook isn't even showing me things I want to see anymore, and it's
No. Well, I just feel like, especially just trying to like keep up with friends or old contacts. Just like it's not my preferred way of doing it, I guess. But then again,
it's not my
time.
It's not my preferred way, and that's why I like my Facebook presence. It's just like it fell off compared to what it was, because it was never the method that I'd want to communicate with someone anyways. I wouldn't prefer to, like...
Exactly. It shows within it. So
yeah.
I hate trying to keep up with it all. Like shit.
Yeah, so so people would be like, oh my God, you're away in Japan and you're not responding to my Facebook feed,
Why don't you want to keep up?
It's
You're only
like
12 hours ahead.
I know it's like no disrespect to you, buddy, but like
Well,
just different stroke for different folks, and we're all just trying to live. Like it's
well,
not
it's
like
well, it's like so coincidentally, it's like the people who are like the most upset about that probably got the least amount going on. You know, what I'm saying?
of course, of
Like
course,
they're bored as shit. Like, why aren't you paying attention to what I'm doing?
of course.
I'm like, you ain't doing nothing. Are you doing the same thing we were doing back in Beloit? You still there? Oh fuck no.
And if it's your for real homie, they don't give a fuck. You know
Exactly, dude. Because when they see you, they see you. It's the same.
exactly.
It's not like you're mad because they're distance or something. Like that's petty shit. I don't know.
When I get home and
I'm in Vermont. Illegal cannabis here.
when I get home and I like hit up fucking Swiv or Benji or someone, I'm just like, and I go kick it with them. It doesn't seem like any time has ever passed in these times that I do it. They're just like, so how's it? And
How's
I'm
it
like,
over there? Yeah.
and I'm like, it's the same old, and they'll just be like, how the kids doing? I'll be like, it's the same old. They're growing children. They're annoying as fuck,
Right. Yeah, no, I usually see Tom when I go back. Same old shit with him always. So.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's gonna be if it's your homie, then what?
I gotta wrap
really
this shit up,
changed?
man. What else do you want to say? Anything you want to promote?
Well,
Specific video. I like doing the video clips. I like cut. It's like an interview for you.
well,
cut in like a music video, and then you're talking about it, and then you're like, yeah. I mean, I could already do that with some of the shit you said, obviously.
well, as far as the last video I put out, it's the video for the song called Worms.
Yep.
We shot it in Beloit, actually, when I was there. We shot it at the Trestle.
Wait, shit. Oh my God. I thought that kind of looked somewhat familiar. What the fuck?
Yep, see, because I decided to do it from a location.
I did just catch that because
I decided to do it at a location that was reminiscent of my youth, and to think about whether I've changed beyond the person that I was at that point in time. There's a reason why I did it down there. And that is from my latest full-length album, which is called Rough Translation, which is on everything. It's even on that new Loom app. You can listen to it for free there, but it's on your whole rung of Apple Music and Spotify, and of course all that. And the newest album title, Rough Translation, is not just a ploy. It's not just a play on the fact that like I'm always in a foreign land where what you say and what gets spoken to you doesn't always like translate directly, but it's actually talking about how when you make music, you're actually just doing your best to roughly give the listener what is actually going on in your head, because the full spectrum of the thought and the depth behind the process is sometimes, almost always, like impossible to create.
You're giving it like a fraction of how you really feel about it, in a sense.
Yeah,
what you're trying to express.
So
yeah.
that's
it's always more.
That's what that title means. So that's why. So that's why, like, when someone would say, "Well, what is it you're trying to do with this?" I can give you an answer, and I can tell you this and that. But if you read deeper within the lines and the things that are said, then you and that title itself, then you might realize that just shut up and listen.
Right. Dope, man. So this is this album you're getting into more, I don't know, experimenting. You're branching out.
I've been branching out for, I guess, the past 3 full-length projects, but this one has a little bit more of that.
It's further in going that way.
This one definitely has a more of the we're branching out farther there, but I'm even taking it more traditional at some points, when it's even, the rapidy level when it comes out is even more like I don't give a fuck, and not trying to be cool at all with it. Like, this is me being pretty aggressive. Which is it's not cool to me. It's just me expressing myself. But yeah, it's more of that, and it's just building upon itself. And so that's everywhere. If you look it up, whatever streaming service you use, it'll be on there. I'm working on the next video, but I was gonna shoot here, but I don't have anyone to cameraman for me while I'm here in fucking Malaysia. So because my homies are not gonna be very effective with it. Like, they're not that, they're doing their other shit the whole time, and I don't know how their schedules are going to be. Like, you need to do this for me, because you need someone who's pretty dedicated in the shooting process for 1 to 2 days. But so I'll say that I'm working on that. But as far as that being available everywhere for anyone who listens to that or whatever, I'm working on something new always. But the next project, I'm working on an EP with a producer who reached out to me randomly from Seoul. He's from Korea. And he was just like, I really like your style of stuff. Check out the things that I do. And I checked him out, and he's a really dope producer. And I'm like, who do you work with? And he's like, well, usually I work in the studio as like an engineer. And that's what he works as. He's not really a producer per se, but he's worked with people in the studio as the engineer, one of the rappers and things that come through. But he's, as a producer, he's like, he wants to start.
And he can do all the technical and editing aspect.
And his name is JB. That's his producer name. I don't know. He's a Korean dude. He speaks pretty good English randomly. And it's all so this next thing is going to be an EP that's like 6 or 7 songs, and it's all emo soul vibe. There's no rap at all. It's like,
right on.
And it's called Heartstrings. It's super cheese name.
Right on.
And
pulling on my heartstrings.
So it's basically it's either like a trap soul vibe, or it's like a neo soul, or like I said, that funky. We're gonna go for that Roger Trout era. I have some of the people that I've met with through that new Loom app that are kind of getting on some of the things, because I want more people to be featured, either singing hooks while I rap, or this or that. I have a couple of homies from Osaka, or in Japan. Yes, there are other artists there who are foreigners, actually.
Oh, no shit.
Who are pretty dope to get on there. So I want it to be this thing. I want it to be a project that is short, but actually features people more than it usually would with me, because usually I'm really fucking picky about that and being like, nah, I got it, dog, don't worry about it. Like,
getting out of your comfort zone, kind of.
Yeah, and I want
the multi.
Yeah, and this is
input.
and this is a very soul. Like I said, this is all. So that's the next thing to expect, and that's probably going to be in April. Later April, that's going to be coming out, because you can't just finish up a product and just have it sound like crap.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to finish and get everything revved up for it. So that's what's next, other than video work and the same shit I do all the time. Which is, if anyone does catch this and you don't follow me on my Instagram, it's just my name, Noah Yount, and you'll see what I'm about to talk about is I'm always making little goofy, I don't know, like videos and stuff. I like analog still motion graphics. I draw and I design and I like little videos with my song snippets in it. Yeah, I'm conceited about it. I like to put my songs in there, like, and
Yeah, whatever. It's
and
more
and
original, man.
yeah, it is more original that way. And I like to do the cover design stuff and all that. So that's what it's like daily, other than like work stuff. But I like that whole side job to finance the whole project stuff ain't even going on right now. I don't even do that right now. Like
Oh no shit.
no, I'm just trying to I'm trying to trying my best to sell people cover design things, do little video work for people, master for people, and engineer for people around town if they're
Fuck
doing
yeah.
stuff, and give myself more time to travel for shows and blah blah blah. Yeah, I'm living off savings to do what I love right now
Right on, man.
because I have to. I can't be stuck mobile. I mean, I can't be stuck, stagnant.
Right.
And say
Doing
that
something.
that go say I can't do a show in Tokyo tomorrow because I gotta work.
Fuck
You
that.
know, yeah, fuck that.
Well, that's kind of like what it. I guess to make
That's
it
what
a living. It takes that extra dedication, or
you have to take the extra step. And some people are kind of like, where's your money's all dwindling away because it goes into this and that. And it's like, well, if
don't
you
worry
look,
about it.
yeah, don't worry about it. Look into it and look out for what I'm doing, and then just enjoy the product and the things that come out of it. And
Right. Don't worry about all that. That's your business, right?
yeah,
Shit.
yeah. So basically, that's the day-to-day work and what to see. So
Right on.
most of that comes out on it's Instagram. For those who follow me on Facebook, it's the same thing. It's my name, and you'll see some of that. But it's usually reposts from Instagram because Facebook doesn't have much organic reach these days.
Yeah. Are you on YouTube or just like
Yeah,
main
I have a YouTube.
videos and whatnot?
Yeah, I have a YouTube channel. If you just look up Noah Yount, you get,
Cool.
I know my name is not so flashy as other rap names, but I can't have some fake moniker anymore. It's just
Right.
It's you know what I mean?
Goes back to the authenticity.
It doesn't seem genuine to me anymore.
Right.
I like to spell my last name with the yen mark though these days. Just cuz
pretty cool.
Just cuz I've been in
Embracing.
Japan.
Yeah,
Just because
exactly.
I've been in Japan so long, like it was an idea from a homie, and I was just like, well, I'm not all about the dollar yen, but he's like, yeah, but it's just lets people know that you've been somewhere doing something different. So
yeah, for sure.
just,
they won't let you be a citizen, so you might as well.
yeah, and if anyone sees this out there and has an iPhone, you should download that Loom app because it's really, really cool. It's really well put together. The people who put it together have done a really great job with it. It's user friendly. It's a great organic community. It's popping off right now. As soon as it goes on Android, it's going to blow the fuck up. And if you're a content creator, getting on there is like people are making money.
Maybe I can just use it on my regular computer or something.
You can get it on the computer and just upload to it.
Yeah, exactly. And at least check out the feed or something.
The way it is on the computer one, like maybe I should.
Maybe like Instagram, you won't be able to see it the same
This
way.
is how accessible and grassroots it still is. I could get on there and email the main guy who's like the main creator.
Oh no shit!
And
wow.
I could tell him, bro. Can you guys try to work towards where the desktop version has more than just the ability to upload and blah blah blah, like so because
but even the ability to upload, at least I could get my name on there.
Yeah, and you could still, Yeah. So
start an account, and then that eventually links to Android.
yeah,
Blah, blah, blah.
yeah. So you guys out there should check that out if you got Apple iPhone, Apple iPhone.
LUM.
Yeah. Well, with an umlaut. It's it's
So
the
that's
two
like
dots.
German style.
Yeah, I guess the two dots.
Yeah. Well, it could be. Yeah, not just German, but
I think that's called an umlaut. The two dots above the whatever, the O or the U or whatever. I don't speak German. My last name.
Yeah, they do it.
German.
Yeah, it is O and U. Yeah. Well, shit, man. It was good talking to you.
Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, man. I think it takes me a while to edit all these, but I usually put out a few clips of like I said, you're talking about the shit, or it could be pretty random. Have you seen any of the ones I put out? They're pretty random. I cut like
I know
different parts of the interview together,
and
I try to do it like I don't know what you call it, kind of like a documentary, mini doc style in a sense.
Yeah. You want to clip the pieces that seem relevant to something and then catch them. I mean, to seamlessly.
Well, and I like. The more people I have who are original artists, I kind of like that more because I can just like help, promote something in a different way. Because it's like, you try to do shit like this. You getting on the radio, you try to film it, you trying to get on TV. It's like we just like created our own interview just by doing this shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, creating media content. For the original artists.
Well, creating media content for exposure, but with enough content therein that it is actually substantial and that people can watch it and maybe have some thought provoked.
I think what was you saying?
And also maybe some interest peaked in the people doing it. You know what I mean?
Well, and I think like. I think in general, the clips do better because everybody's such, short attention span, or they're just slightly more entertaining. And just like the episodes are almost more like for people, A, who are already super into you, or B, people who just generally will listen to a full podcast episode. Because personally, I don't even listen to too many full podcasts unless I'm like super interested in the person. But I watch a ton of clips on YouTube. Like that's kind of how I got into doing this shit, because it's just like, it gives you, like the description, the title, and it kind of like gets your attention. And, half the time, I'm not disappointed, maybe.
Yeah, that's a good point. I do catch podcasts that it usually be like on an Instagram feed, and then I click on the IGTV feed, or it'll have a link for a YouTube somewhere, or I'll find it from there. And that's usually what I get. I'm usually not watching the whole thing. Like,
you got to be dedicated. Sit like hour and a half, 2 hours. And that's kind of the bitch about editing. I got to go through like, all right, this is a cool spot. Oh yeah, like cut it all up. It's everyone.
Well, editing.
Everyone gets off topic, and that's great. I like that.
Editing is editing. Video editing in itself is a bitch. All right.
Yeah. I love it. I love the outcome, and it's something I always wanted to do. So I really like doing it. But yeah, it's fucking time.
The process of it is a headache. But
I just had a 3 terabyte hard drive crash, so I'm trying to fucking recover that.
Well, shit. That's that's a lot of terabytes. Well, I mean, okay, that's not a lot of terabytes, but
gigabytes.
But it
was like 2,500 out of 3,000 full, something like that. But what are you gonna do? It's not the end of the world completely, but what are you gonna do? All right, man. It was good seeing you. Yeah, you're just fucking getting going. I'm about to pass out.
Well, I'm about to get back to sleep actually for a little bit.
There you go. Perfect. All right. Good seeing you. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Great seeing you.
Yeah, good catching up, man.
And
it's been a minute. I don't remember the last time I seen you.
When I'm in town, I'm always in and out. And it's like never catching anyone when I do. So
yeah, I'm not there. I haven't lived there in years, but I still go back.
I know. So anyone else that's here or there, it's like these are the ways that we
Right.
connect or reconnect. So, but
For sure.
anyways, it's been great. It's been a good talk. As always, you're as always, you've been very much, into the thought of the whole, you know, experience is working
Digging
and
deeper.
working and living with music. So
Yeah.
I appreciate it. It's been fun. If you ever want to do it again in the future, I'm always up for it. And
For sure, man.
be sure to stay in touch too. Let me know if you stumble on anything new that you think is like, check this out.
Um,
I'm always,
check out Michael Kiwanuka, man, if you can remember that. And he's actually he's a lot
did
bigger in Europe.
Michael Q.R.
Ki,
Lincoln
Kiwa,
Kiwa.
Ki, Kiwa,
Yeah,
Nuka,
Kiwa. Nuka.
Nuka, Nuka. He's like a
Nuka. Kiwa Nuka.
African British guy. He's awesome.
Kind of
He's
like
really.
is this kind of some Afrobeat kind of stuff?
No, but this was like the soulful stuff I was saying. Like he's been
Oh, okay,
compared to like
okay.
Marvin
Oh,
Gaye,
okay,
but then he has shit that's like almost Pink Floyd ish, and then or I would say, I don't even know what to fucking call this, but check out he's my homie from Milwaukee. He goes by Def Sonic now, and he's doing some like crazy experimental stuff. I don't even know if it might even fall into your trap soul thing because I'm like so out of touch with genres and shit.
What did you say the name is? Death Star?
Def Sonic.
Def Sonic.
His shit's like only on Vimeo. He's like even more like, no, I don't play by the rules. Like he's like,
it's only on Vimeo.
He just told me he literally just I get random messages. I'm trying to get him on the podcast, but he said he was working with like a Grammy winning producer about to put out an album called Antarctica. He's on a whole nother trip, man, and literally on a trip.
If that's what your album title is, that's it
I
sounds
don't
like
know.
it's pretty out there.
Michael Kiwanuka for sure, but maybe Def Sonic, maybe.
I can take deaf as in like can't hear.
DEF like Def Jam.
Oh, like DEF, like Def Jam, like okay.
Defs, and then Sonic, like
Sonic,
sonically.
Sonic the Hedgehog or Sonic the Drive-Through,
Exactly.
All right.
It was good talking to you, man. What are you saying?
I'll give you one too before you go.
All right, yeah.
He's South Korean, and I think he lives sometimes in the U.S. too. And his name is Jaye.
Okay.
He's like I don't know what to say. I guess like modern pop kind of songwriter.
All right.
Dude. He's dope. He's dope. He's and so like you could just check out the song like he's kind of like he's got like cheesy love songs and stuff too, but he's pretty dope, and he's a guy that I kind of like got introduced to because he's like a friend of a friend, and I thought I thought it would be like more amateurish when I checked it out, and then when I checked dude's shit out, I was like, wow, this is really good.
Right.
And I was like, to my homie, like, this is your friend? And he's like, yeah, he's my Korean homie. Like, I was like, okay, all right.
Sounds a nice surprise, yeah.
But as I said, I have little jams. One of his songs has been my little jam for the past like a month. So
All right, cool.
But
Jeye.
Jaye. Yep. And then I just got to remember this Kiwa Nuka.
I'll put it in the chat
here. Michael.
You haven't heard of him. Did you ever watch that? Oh, I didn't spell it right.
Yep, Kiwa Nuka.
You ever watch that? That Netflix show. They go back to the 70s and how the hip hop started, but it's like a movie.
Oh,
style. It's like 2 or 3 seasons now.
I was gonna say the Throwdown.
Oh yeah, it's what the fuck is it called though?
I've seen it. Yeah, I've watched it all.
he does a couple songs on that, and like Nas raps, and then he does the hook. But
Oh,
like his own material is fucking awesome. Like,
oh, okay. So
so that's a good way to find him. If you can remember what that's. It's called the fuck. I get the Get Down.
the get down.
The Get Down.
I said the throwdown, but whatever.
Well,
yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
All right. I'll check it out. Yeah, that show's got good music, so yeah, I can see that.
It was good talking to you, brother. Good seeing you. Let's stay in touch, man.
All right, you too. And
I'll let you know when this shit's gonna come out. It might be like a month or two, but
yeah, whenever it needs to. Whenever it needs to.
All right, man.
All right, peace. Yeah, be good and get some sleep.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, peace.